everyone, welcome to Business Live. Tonight, government reduces fuel prices by 8 pesos a litre. This comes as some major oil marketing firms earlier adjusted prices upward at the pumps, with Shell and Total taking the lead with more than 12% hike per litre. Meanwhile, transport fares are expected to go up by 15% upon ongoing negotiations between the GPRTU and government. Also coming up, full enforcement of new taxes and levies in 2021 budget takes effect today as Ghana Revenue Authority moves to ensure compliance among businesses. Plus, African Council of Ministers charge countries under African Continental Free Trade Area to publish tariff concessions, a move that will ensure transparency in trading. Thanks for being with us tonight. This is Business Live. My name is Darryl Kwao. We'll be back. Cocoa going down by some $45, and crude oil, Brent crude rather, hovering around $68 a barrel. That was a check of the commodity markets as we end the day. Tonight we are going to begin with fuel. Government has reduced fuel prices by 8 pesos a litre. This was contained in a communique issued by the National Petroleum Authority. Now, earlier today we reported that some major oil marketing companies have started adjusting prices at the pumps. Shell, for instance, is selling a litre of diesel and petrol at 6 cedis 13 pesos, representing more than a 12 percentage point hike. The upward adjustment is in line with the implementation of some taxes introduced in the 2021 budget by the government, and it's been effected by the National Petroleum Authority. So yes, the communique issued, we want to take you through that. It says that at a meeting held at the Ministry of Energy earlier today between the Minister for Energy and National Petroleum Authority, the Association of Oil Marketing Companies, Bulk Oil Storage and Transportation Companies, Company Limited, the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, the Institute for Energy Policies and Research, it has been agreed as follows. The 17 peso a litre increase in fuel margins previously announced by the NPA has been reduced to 9 pesos per litre. Effective tomorrow, Wednesday, the 5th of May, 2021, is signed by the minister and all the other bodies that were at that meeting. Some good news, at least. Meanwhile, our reporter Nicholas Brown has been interacting with some consumers of petroleum products. They have seen the new costs and they're sharing their frustrations.
I think it's global, and it's global challenge. And so I don't think somebody is sitting somewhere thinking that I'm going to increase fuel for that. But we also need to look at how we can do something about it to help the young businesses, and then to grow our business in town. So if it's going to help for us to do something about it. I don't have a problem increasing the fuel, but I think we also have to know how we can at least do something about it, reduce it so it can benefit the SMEs, because it's difficult to buy fuel 200 Ghana cedi and within 2 days it's gone. If you're running in town with this heavy traffic everywhere and all that. So it's not a problem increasing it, but we need to do something about it.
In fact, the increasing of this fuel, I think, is too much. Because I think we should get to the middle of the year for the fuel to be increased. We just started the year and we are almost going to May, and the fuel has been increased almost twice or so. I mean, it's very bad because considering about those at the villages conveying goods and services to the city, how are they going to feel? It will affect this, this our product buying from the market. So I think the government has to do something about it.
We don't have anything to do because we the users, whatever it may be, we have to buy. But the how the situation is going is getting out of hand. That's what I can say. It's going to affect, but there's no option. If as I can say, if it is not getting to as it is going, then we will be okay. Petrol affect everything. Do you understand? Petrol affect when the increment is going on, everything is also changing. So they should look at it. I don't have power to do any or to say anything, but the authorities have to look at it.
I'm not happy, but what can we do? Fuel to car is like a food to human being. You see, without fuel, the car cannot move. So there wasn't any justifiable reasons for the increment. I could remember last week, before Friday, the price at Guel was 5.45. But here is the case today is 6.13. Things are hard. So I think the regulators should do something.
All right, so those were some consumers there, obviously concerned about the fuel price hikes. We're joined via Zoom by energy strategist Dr. Yusuf Suleimana and Director of Research and Policy at the Institute of Energy Security, Derek Achep, on this latest development. Thanks for joining us, you both. I'm glad that you could. Let's start with you, Suleimana. Your reaction to the latest news of a decrease or a review of 8 pesos a litre following that meeting between the Ministry of Energy and the other bodies concerned.
Thank you very much, Darren. Good evening to your cherished viewers in Ghana and then across the globe. Yes, we can only say this is a welcoming news. Albeit the prices were already skyrocketing. I think, having it around 6, cedis as they could now, 6 point something, 6.13, cedis, per liter is quite high, very, very high. So, of course, getting it 8 pesos down, I think it's a welcome news, but I think more can be done. Yeah.
Derek?
Thank you, Danny. All protocol observed. As IES has always noted, we always stand with the consumer. And so at this particular point in time where the increment took place, we thought it was another avenue to stimulate that hardship on the ordinary person. It came that there has been a reduction. But what we think is that as at the time this increment was taking place or when it was effected, it means there was room for reasoning. So why couldn't they engage the stakeholders a larger extent? IES was not even invited to those who signed the communique or who came out with this final solution. We believe there is the need to push further, and we think that more can be done. The increment, the decrease of 8 pesos, we think is not enough. It could have gone beyond what we are seeing as of now.
Well, point is, did they have a choice at all? Because this was tax that was effected in the 2021 budget, and so they were only acting on that.
Thank you so much. We feel like introduction of taxes are always at the mercy of the government. The government, knowing the situation that we are in, could also find different ways to maybe implement policies, not necessarily just introducing taxes at this period that COVID is having so much negative effect on a lot of people. Businesses are collapsing. Now, people normally say water is life, but now energy is life. Indirectly, fuel plays a major role in our economy. And the government finding a cheaper way, an easy way of taxing people, that is placing tax on an inelastic good like petroleum product, is very, very insensitive to the ordinary person. And we think the government should do something about it, have a real look at it, and think outside the box, not just to go and worsen the burden of the ordinary person as of now.
And so, Dr. Suleiman, the government was thinking about a way to fix some of our economic problems, and they thought about taxing fuel. And so, was that a right move anyway?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah, I will say that if you look at taxation critically, it's like a double-edged sword. It cuts both ways. As much as government requires to rein in some revenue to be able to champion developmental projects, we have to look at the context at which the tax is coming in. I mean, the environment is simply not favorable. Two things that I believe account for this, why the environment is not favorable. My colleague from the other side already mentioned that, I mean, the COVID is still ravaging seriously. And so at this moment, I mean, what we should do is to rather stimulate consumer spending, or what we call consumer, spending into the economy. See, if an economy is depressed for a very long time, it takes stimulation to be able to recover very quickly. If you leave the economy at the mercy of typical supply and demand forces without stimulating it, it's going to be terrible. It's going to be difficult to recover. And that's, if you remember, somewhere along the line in the early part of the year, U.S. had, gotten about 1.9 trillion, and what about 400 billion of that money, where it went actually was to be given to consumers. What they try to do is that when an economy is depressed, you have to find innovative ways of getting it back to life. And I think taxation will be counterproductive in this regard. Why am I saying that? See, when you tax things, especially an inelastic commodity like fuel, which means people will consume it, their purchasing power will reduce. And so the rate at which they're going to spend on the economy will also reduce. So in that case, what will happen is that the cumulative effect is that the spending into the economy will decrease. However, what I can say is that, see, if these taxes the revenue that is coming from these taxes could be channeled to productive ventures, manufacturing based, whereby more jobs could be created. I believe it could be a way to nullify or to neutralize the potential negative impact of this tax increment. Other than that, I think it's going to be very bad, to the poor consumer. And lastly, the reason why I think it's also not appropriate or the timing is bad is the current prevailing oil market in the global market.
Right.
See, it is not very stable. The things that are accountable for the price buildup are basically three. Government has control over only the taxes. Government has no control over global oil prices. Global oil prices, as we speak now, is very volatile. It is very, very high, and there's a chance that it could go up. 68, you just mentioned in your introductory messages, that's quite high. So the fact that government has no control over crude oil prices, what we have control would have been the taxes. And so the fact that these taxes are increasing, I think it is only derailing the potential benefit that the poor consumer can derive from the deregulation exercise that we are in.
Okay. Interesting you mentioned the impact on the consumer, because already we are hearing that the transport operators are going to increase their fares by 15%. We'll bring you that story. But so that brings us to the point you raised about deregulation. I remember talking to you, Dr. Suleiman, earlier in the year, where you predicted that the fuel prices would hit, is it 5 cedi 70? But I don't really remember the figure you quoted. Now we're seeing the taxes on it. We're seeing what is happening globally. And in terms of deregulation, it doesn't look like it's effective, because even when the prices go down, the OMCs are not willing to, bring the prices down. And so they complain, they have to deal with other issues as well. So I'm just wondering, where are we going?
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. I think Ghana, in particular, our deregulation is only working in one direction. And so I think NPA would have stamped its authority in this regard. Unfortunately, it is looking like they are not able to buy. In fact, they are adding more, injury to what is already going on, especially this current increment that they are doing. See, deregulation is supposed to increase competition. And what competition will do is that it will drive down costs. And in fact, that was possible in 2015. After deregulation, prices came down. And so that was when this ESLA thing was introduced. And after now, it has come to stay. So until the government of Ghana or the policymakers like my friend at the other side talked about the fact that we have to think out of the box. We have to look at innovative ways, generating income. Otherwise, if you keep taxing and taxing and taxing, we will tax and then depress the economy, and then it will be counterproductive. So yes, deregulation is good, but I think the consumer is here to benefit, to reap the required benefit from the deregulation exercise that we have in Ghana.
You have the last word, Derek. Where are we headed next?
Where we are heading is doomed, because very soon in June, prices of electricity and other things, water and coal, are going to increase. So it means there is going to be another hardship in that regard. But what we are asking is, what is also the role of BOST? What is the role of TOR? Are they not performing? Are they not supposed to cushion the ordinary person as at this particular period of time? So if BOST and TOR are not performing to standard, or are not performing at their ultimate capacity, then it means that the role that they were supposed to play as they were being set up is not being performed very well. Because BOST is supposed to be a strategic reserve for the government. Now, when last year fuel prices were reducing, they could have stored a lot of them. We are not refining enough, and TOR is underperforming. We refine them and still export them by private individuals. What are we doing to cushion the ordinary person? It is not just about taxing. Inelastic demand goods, if you tax on them, it is the easiest way any government would like to raise revenue. And it has a ripple effect on the ordinary person, being it transport, being it consumption, being it buying and selling. A kinky seller who will go and grind or maybe buy the maize from the market or pick transportation, the fares will be up. And so when he goes and wants to sell the thing, you add up that margin to the final product. And my grandmother and mother who is in the village and co will be the one to bear that consequence. So we call on the government. The 8% reduction is not enough. We think that there's more engagement, and when they engage further, there's more room for reasoning to beat down those reductions. Thank you so much.
Great. Dr. Suleiman, I see you nodding to so many of the issues. I know these are issues we've talked about over and over and over again, and hopefully we'll get somewhere, make headway. Thanks very much, both of you, Dr. Yusuf Suleimana and Derek Hatcher of IES. Next time, we'll have an extended conversation, I promise you, on these latest developments. We're going to take a short break soon, but I want us to hear from the Ghana Private Road Transport Union, which is threatening to increase the price of transport fares by at most 15%. Here's the General Secretary, Godfred Abobire, who spoke on the marketplace.
What we are saying is that the factors that we had considered earlier, before the recent another fuel hike, we are saying that we will revert back to the meeting tomorrow with the Transport Ministry, and then to decide as to the margin of increment that we are going to spend on our fares. We will do all these ones. What will actually be the best of business for our members? And I am saying this for the fact that even if the rollout tomorrow's meeting ends out that we should adjust the margin that we want, we will not be able to go up to the 20-30% that you are mentioning. Our limits might be 10 or 15. See, we are looking at a very possible margin that our customers, which is the final end consumer of any type of loan fare, will be comfortable. And then that will put us in business. If we just decide to increase by 40%, and we know that that will affect our passenger turnout to our various terminals, we will not do that.
Well,
so the tomorrow's meeting, yes, will come out with a margin. Don't expect anything between more than 10-15%. That's, going beyond that, we will not go beyond that.
Has to revise how much they spend on transport going forward. We expect the new prices latest by Friday. You're watching Business Live. The African Council of Ministers have been meeting to discuss AFTA. We'll bring you that story after this break. so that was a look at what is happening internationally. The story about Bill and Melinda Gates' divorce trending. I guess it took all of us by surprise. Well, to one of our top stories tonight, the African Council of Ministers in charge of the African Continental Free Trade Area is charging all member countries to publish their various tariff concessions and trade schedules for all traders. Now, the move is to ensure transparency in trading and also make member countries aware of what products and tariffs they are trading under. The Council of Ministers in charge of AfTA, which is the second highest body of the agreement, made the expectations known at the 5th session in Accra. My colleague, always on that beat, is Eben Sabute. He joins us via Zoom from our newsroom. Eben, you've been following that meeting today. Tell us a bit more about what has been going on in the past 2 days.
Okay, so for the past 2 days, the African Council of Ministers, which is, like you indicated, the second highest, council body on the Continental Free Trade Agreement, seems to agree with most of the negotiations that the Secretariat has come up with and most of the rules of origin agreements that they have come up. But they were raising issues with the fact that up to now, not many African citizens are aware of the tariff concessions. When we talk of tariff concessions, like if we are exporting tomatoes, if you are exporting garden egg, what kind of tariff is it on? Is it under restricted goods? Is it under a free, products that you can export to Sierra Leone or Angola for free? Right. Those are some of the things that they think citizens are not aware of, and there's the need for member countries to publish all this on either the websites of the various countries or even the AfTA Secretariat's website.
And so this is to help enable transparency, right? I'm going to ask you the final question. How soon these negotiations will be concluded?
So according to the Secretary General of the African Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat, they are expected to be concluded before the end of this month. Quoting his words, they are about 86% concluded. And the Council of Ministers also expects these things in weeks. So he mentioned that, yes, they are expecting them in weeks so that trade can move smoothly among Africans as is stipulated in the agreement.
Thanks for always bringing us up to date, Eben Sabute from our newsroom there. That's it for Business Live tonight. Thanks for watching, everyone. There's more news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. My name is Darryl Kwao. Thanks for watching. We are back same time tomorrow.